If there is one person we're recognizing that does not consider himself a hero, it's Dr. Gary Asher. Dr. Asher runs a small practice in Lunenburg, but we're honoring him for his medical practice abroad. He travels every year with Cape Cares to provide medical services to hundreds of the world's poorest. A week in a third world country is not an ideal vacation for most, but after a single visit to one of the most remote regions of Honduras, Dr. Asher says he was hooked.
That's before and that's after. That's my medical office building, and these are some of the patients I've seen in the medical clinic. This lady I've seen every year for the last 10 years, I think. She has high blood pressure and diabetes, and we take care of bring her medicines every year. There's 3 doctors, and we see about 100 patients a day. I'm really part of a big group called Cape Cares, which has been in existence for over 20 years. It was originally started as a dental health group that provided relief care to the people of Central America, specifically Honduras. The area of Honduras that we go to is in the far south of Honduras. It's up in the mountains between 2,500 and 5,000 feet. It's very remote. A lot of people you still see doing their laundry in the riverbed. They're still quite rustic and primitive in many ways, though they are always smiling and they enjoy life a lot. The countryside is absolutely spectacular. It's just gorgeous. I first got involved with the event of Hurricane Mitch. It was a Category 5 Katrina-like hurricane that sat over central Honduras for 5 days and wreaked utter destruction. I was talking to my wife about how helpless you feel when you see something like this. And the very next night in the Fitchburg Sentinel, there was a feature article, totally coincident, about Don LeMay and his group from Cape Cares that goes to Honduras every year. And I picked up the phone and I said, hey Don, and he's a friend of mine, I've known him for a long time. And I said, hey Don, do you need an extra pair of hands? It was supposed to be just a one-time thing to help out. I think it was Tuesday of that week, this little lady came to me as a patient and asked if I had something that she could take for the desperation in her chest every time she walked up the hill to her house, which of course is angina, but I love the language and how they can describe it so graphically. And so I found some aspirin and some nitroglycerin and some propranolol in the pharmacy, in the medications that we had brought, and I gave it to her, and as I handed it to her, I have no reason why, and I said, I'll see how you're doing when I come back next year. And so that's how I got hooked. Most of the population we take care of live on about 50 cents a day. They don't have any medicines down there, hard to speak of. We visited one of the clinics down there one time, and although they could tell you what your diagnosis was, they didn't have any medicine to give you for it. But these people walk 2 and 3 hours to get to us, and they're all at the gate by 7 o'clock in the morning, and they have to get home. So many of them walk home in the dark. They walk to the clinic in the dark, and they walk back home after dark. You really are practicing grassroots maintenance medicine, trying to teach public health habits. We take medications with us for some of the chronic diseases that we can help, but a lot of what we do is non-pharmacologic. It's old-time medicine, and even that is much more than most of these people have available or are able to afford. You need to do something that's bigger than you are. We get much more out of this than the people down there do, I think, in a sense of giving back.
Along with recognizing 8 extraordinary heroes, the American Red Cross has honored a hero among its own ranks. Bob McLaren, former division president of National Grid, now serves full-time for the American Red Cross of Central Massachusetts. Not only is he a board member, but a committed volunteer that revolutionized the chapter's technical capabilities and worked in the trenches during the ice storm of December 2008. Bob McLaren is this year's recipient of the Ambassador Award. His friends and co-workers had these messages to pass along.
Yes, Lisa, I understand. You want me to say a few words about Bob McLaren. Which Bob McLaren? Our Bob McLaren. You want me to say something nice about our Bob McLaren? You're sure? Okay. Goodbye. Oh, man. Come in. Oh, you're early. I'm Chick Weiss, and I'm chair of the board of directors of the Central Massachusetts Regional Chapter of the American Red Cross, and I'm absolutely delighted to say something about our good friend, our good friend Bob McLaren.
Bob, who would have guessed when we met that day to go out to National Grid so you could introduce the disaster program to them, that we would work so closely together and you would definitely be a huge support to the operation of the ice storm. You did step up. It was great that you took some of those disaster courses because I'm sure you never thought you'd be putting to work to the extent that you did, working 16, 18 hours a day.
Lisa, how did Bob ever come to this point in his life?
Well, Tony, I'll never forget that day in December. It was around mid-December of 2007 when Bob took me aside in the hallway of the chapter and said, Lisa, I'd like to go to lunch with you and Peter Wells, our CFO, and talk about my ongoing volunteer commitment to the American Red Cross. I said, okay, that'd be great, Bob. He said, all right, let's go to the Five and Dime Diner on Lincoln Street. So off we went, and Bob told us at that lunch that he was going to retire from National Grid on December 30th of 2007, and that what he really wanted to do was to work full-time for the chapter beginning January 7th of 2008.
He's been immensely generous with his time, with his work, with his wisdom, and frankly with his wealth.
And Penny, if you ever want to borrow Bob back, you've got my number. Just give me a ring and I'll make sure we get Bob home or wherever you need him at whatever time you need him.
A hero to me is someone that steps up to the plate, goes above and beyond anything that was expected, and steps into any element, any project that needs to be done, and gives it more than 100%. The willingness to learn about disaster services and what we do in disaster is just phenomenal.
Well, I have this hat, Tony, because this is a hat that we gave Bob. You know, Bob is the first to arrive in the morning when it's dark, and he's the last to leave at night when it's still dark. We decided he needed this hat.
Bob, you are one fantastic guy. This award, we believe, is well-deserved and well-earned, and we thank you very much for your continued contributions to the Red Cross.
Bob, thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for your dedication and commitment.
You are a great ambassador for our chapter, my friend. We wish you well, and congratulations on this honor.
Thank you, Bob. You're our hero.
We hope these stories have made you aware of how much help the community needs. If you've been inspired to get involved, the best way to start is with the American Red Cross. The money spent to relieve victims of December's ice storm and March's Pleasant Street fire in Worcester has put the chapter in dire need of funds. Please visit our website today at redcrossworcester.org to see how you can help the mission of the American Red Cross.
We thank you for joining us as we present the inspiring stories of 9 community heroes. But you can be a hero too. Visit redcrossworcester.org and get involved. For Nicole Valentine, I'm Hank Stoltz. Thanks for watching.